There's nothing worse than a forgetful witness. And what do you do when you have a forgetful witness? Do you just pack up your stuff and leave? No, you hunker down and you try to get this witness to remember. Let me give you a scenario, right? You have a witness on trial and you're asking them a question. And this happens to me all the time. My wife will say, hey, do you remember when we went on vacation to Croatia and we were in Split, and then later on we went to Dubrovnik? Do you remember in which city the tour guide's name was Paolo? I don't remember the difference between those two cities, and it was just last year. I remember Croatia was a blast, but I can't remember the difference between those two cities. And she kind of looks at me a little dismayed. Now, she's got a great memory for those things. I don't. But my son and I love to go swimming. And that's usually the fun part of our vacation. We do a little bit of sightseeing and a little bit of swimming. So if you showed me a picture of the pool, I bet you I would remember it. Why? Because in Split, for instance, when she showed me the picture of the pool, I remember there was this 10-foot diving board. And I remember Christian, who's only 5, got up on that diving board and he jumped off. I mean, 10 feet doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're standing on top of it looking down at the water, for a 5-year-old who's only, 3 feet tall, that's a long way to jump, right? So I'll never forget that. Literally, like as I'm talking about it now, I'm still towing off because I still feel wet from the pool in that sense, okay? That's the way that I remember. So literally, if I forgot on the stand, she could show me that picture and bam, that would refresh my current memory. There would be no problem. She would mark that picture C1 for identification. She would show it to me. I would now remember, and I would continue on intrinsically from my mouth, from my knowledge. No problem. So step 1, you have a witness who's forgotten. Step 2, you try to refresh them with anything. But let's say she shows me the picture and I still can't remember. Oh man, well now does she pack up and leave? No. She needs to get a little bit more austere in the measure. So now what she needs to do is, because the second step, trying to refresh, didn't work, she needs to now bring in extrinsic evidence for its truth. So now she would actually have to bring in our itinerary, right? Hey, that's an out-of-court statement. It's being offered for its truth in that situation. Now she wants me to find something. There I would see it. Oh yeah, Paolo was in Split. I don't remember it. I have no independent recollection of it. But if that itinerary was something that I personally put together, or cooperatively, my wife and I put together and I adopted it, that was my former statement that I knew, that I was aware of, but I've now forgotten. I forgot. She attempted to refresh me. It didn't work. Now we want to look at past recollection recorded. At some point in the past, I knew this. It was recorded, but presently, I can't remember. Well, that's our hearsay exception. We are now going to read into the record. Be careful. We're not putting the itinerary in as an exhibit. Rather, we're reading into the record what it was. Paolo was in Split. Why? Because the entire statement itself, or the entire document itself, was not the thing that I forgot. See, we're not looking for an exception to bring in the document. Rather, we're looking for an exception to help me put forth today something that I knew before but can't recall today. So the entire document is not coming in by the proponent. However, just that portion that we need is read into the record. And once that's read into the record, now the opponent, right, the person challenging the admissibility, would have free rein to cross-examine me with the document, or could even bring in parts of the document substantively for its truth. Because we used it substantively, now the opponent could also use it substantively. So remember, step 1, the trigger, a witness forgets. Step 2, try to remind them. If that works, great. If it doesn't, now you need to get a little bit more austere. Now you need substantive evidence. Now you need that hearsay exception to allow extrinsic evidence in. That's going to be 8035, past recollection recorded. That's a tricky one. Watch for those 3 steps and you'll get this one correct.